In this video, I will be showing you how to compute correlations, how to do t-tests, and even how to sort data using Google Sheets. So let's go ahead and open Google Sheets. So you see here we have a database, a spreadsheet with some data. You can see the labels are at the top. Those are our variables. That's on the first row. And then below that, we have all the data. That first column is the number. That's the number of the participant. And then the last column there is age, the age of participants. So now I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. Under that first column, I'm going to select a cell, several rows below that last data point. And I'm going to now label that as CORR for correlation. And I'm also going to add AGE for age. I'm going to hit return. I have the label there, CORRH, the correlation with age. So I'm going to correlate age with several other variables. I can't do a correlation between age, which is a number, and OER, which is just yes or no. You need variables that are numerical in order to do correlations. So I'm going to correlate age with text expensive, okay, column C, okay, the data under column C. So I'm going to select a cell under text expensive across from correlation age, and now I'm going to click on FX, click on statistical, look for Correl for correlation. And now I need to enter the data for age and the data for text expensive. So first I'm going to enter the data for age, which is that last column of data. I'm going to start at the bottom, scroll all the way to the top. But be careful not to select the label, only the numbers. Now I'm going to enter a comma and then a space. And now I'm going to go to the variable text expensive, and I'm going to enter the data for that variable. I'd like to start at the bottom, drag all the way to the top, selecting all that data, all the numbers, except the label at the very top. If you select the label as well, it will not work. Okay, I have entered data for both variables. Now I can hit return. And if I scroll down, you'll see that the correlation between age and textbooks being expensive was 0.17. That means that is a weak correlation. That means that how old you are and whether you think textbooks are expensive are not really, that those two things aren't really related, at least not for this group of participants. Let's do another one just for practice. Let's correlate age, let's say, with struggling to pay for textbooks. So this time we're going to select a cell underneath column D, which has the data for struggle to pay. I want that cell right there. And now I'm going to click on FX, statistical, and Correl. And now I'm going to select the data for struggle to pay. Being careful not to select the label. I'm going to enter a comma, space, and now I'm going to enter the data for age, which is the last column. And I'm going to drag all the way to the top. Notice this time I selected age second instead of first. It doesn't matter which you select first as long as you enter the data. Okay, now I can hit return, and you can see there the correlation between age and text and struggling to pay for textbooks was 0.05. That is almost zero. That means there's no correlation. between your age and the extent to which you struggle to pay for textbooks. At least not for these participants. These were college students, and they were all relatively young. If we had older participants, we might have found a stronger correlation. If you wanted to do a correlation, let's say, between other variables that does not include age, you could go to a row below correlation with age and enter CORR and let's say EXP for expensive. And now you can do basically the correlation between textbooks being expensive and let's say the extent to which you struggle to pay for textbooks. Maybe if you think the textbooks are expensive, you would also struggle to pay for them. That makes sense. So you can check that correlation, and you can do correlations going across this way just to keep it organized. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to now show you instead how to do t-test. So I'm going to skip a few more rows and enter the label t-test. T-test. And I'm going to add M-F. T-test MF. A t-test is a test that is used to compare two groups. So we can compare males and females. We have males and females for this survey. And we have several other questions that they were asked. So we can compare if males and we can determine if males and females differ, for instance, on, let's say, the extent to which they think textbooks are expensive, the extent to which they struggle to pay for them, etc. Let's check one of those. Let's check to see if there's a difference between males and females and the extent to which they struggle to pay, the extent to which they think textbooks are expensive. Now, before we do that, we actually have to do something else. We actually have to sort the data. Okay, so if we scroll over to the right and find the variable sex, we can see that we have males first and females second. Our data is already sorted, it's already organized. So we don't really have to sort it after this. It's ready for us. But let's say your data was not sorted. What if you had male, female, male, male, female, etc.? Then what you would do is you would click on the top of the column. In this case, it's the top of the column for sex. In this case, that's column K. And then when you do that, it highlights it. Click on it again, and then click on that little triangle there, and then click Sort A to Z. When you do that, it'll put all females first, and then males are second, and our variable sex is all the way at the bottom because it starts with an S. Maybe you don't want to sort it that way. Let's try something else. Let's click on it again. Click on the little triangle. Click Sort Z to A. So we've done that. Now our variable name is at the top because it starts with an S. Males are second. Females are third. So now we have it sorted in a way that we can use it. Okay. So now let's go back to where we have t-test. Okay. And select a cell under that first numerical variable for text expensive. We're going to see if there's a difference between males and females and the extent to which they think textbooks are expensive. So what we do is we click on FX, click on statistical, and then look for t-test. Right there, click on t-test. And now we have to enter the data for males and females separately. Look at the variable sex, which is right there, and notice that the data for males starts on row 2 and it goes all the way to row 24. So let's go back to text being expensive and start at the top there and drag it all the way down until we get to row 24. There we go. Now enter a comma, space, and now let's select the data for females. The data for females is right below that. Start at the bottom, scroll all the way to the top, not all the way to the top, until you get to the data for males, and that will be until we get to row 25. Now enter a comma, and then enter a 2. I'm not going to explain the difference between 1 and 2 tail tests. So just enter a 2, comma, space, and now enter another 2. I'm not going to explain the type either. Just enter those 2 and you'll be fine. And now hit return. And if you scroll down, you will see the result. The t-test, right, the comparison between males and females, the result is 0.60. Okay, that is the p-value. If the p-value was 0.05 or less, that means that there is a significant difference. In this case, there is not a significant difference between males and females. The p-value is much higher than that.